Welcome, everyone, to Ladies' Number One Detective Agency, Clearing the Paranormal. I am your host, Aimée Clark, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Janet Graham. Bill is unable to join us for this episode. Today is June the 5th, 2024. This is season 1, episode 16. And on today's episode, we're going to be chatting about something very bizarre that occurred after Bill and I did a pretty routine residential clearing for a family that lived out of town. Welcome, Janet. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you today, Miss Aimée?
I am fabulous.
Wonderful.
So, I know we did this. This is from the archives of I think it was 2021 when we did this. So, I know that you may not totally remember, but I know Spirit always comes in as we start talking about the story. So just to set this story up, I had been asked if I could do actually start with a distant clearing for a family that lived out of town, a whole family, and then do some distant sessions for them. So this was the mom, the dad, the kids, and they were all in need of deep healing. There had been a lot of trauma. And one of the questions they asked me was if I could do the sessions with them all together. And I came up with a plan, and away we went with all on an amazing few weeks of their healing adventures. And it was pretty incredible to see all the results. They were all new to Reiki, and of course they were hesitant about whether or not it was actually going to work because we were doing it through Zoom. And of course that was understandable. But anyways, this story isn't about their healing sessions, but at the time, the very first thing I was asked to do was clear the house because of the amount of trauma that they had suffered. And they were wondering if maybe part of what they were experiencing was connected to the house or the property. Now, what is just as interesting, in my opinion, is that just before I was contacted to do this work for the client, it was about 9 days before, I started getting downloads and new guides were coming in. And as September rolled into October, more came in. And I feel like Bill and I were starting to be prepared for the next level work we were meant to be doing. In fact, we had both had a soul exchange, for lack of a better word. And we'll save that for another podcast. So,
I do recall, I like as you're talking about it, I'm recalling the event and I'm recalling some of the things around that house. It was just so fascinating. And it was like, oh my God, like I'm getting shivers just thinking about it right now.
yeah.
Okay. Like the portals and the ley lines, and oh my God, it was just so interesting and just freaky, the information that came back to us.
Well,
You
we
know?
always think it's going to be like oh yeah, we're just clearing a house. And then it turns into something totally unlike anything we thought it was going to be about. So anyway, after I did the consultation with the family and had their permission, I did get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And you filled me in on their past lives and everything that was influencing their present life, including the issues with the property. And as you mentioned, you said there was a portal there and it had to be shut down immediately. So we use the word portal because we really don't know how else to describe it. So maybe you could take a minute or you could take some time just to explain a little bit, if you can, what we mean by portal. It's kind of a catch-all phrase.
It's a catch-all phrase, but the best way to describe it is an opening that lets in positive energies, but also lets in negative energies. So when you're getting too much negative energies coming in, you need to shut that down because they want to come into this world, this timeline, and they want to create havoc and cause harm to a lot of people, right? So, when you're around those negative people that are all, they can't find nothing nice to say, whatever, And it's like, I need to get away from that. I need to get away from that. Well, think of that attaching to your body, and Every time you go someplace, you used to be positive, but all you do is point out the negative. So you keep drawing more and more negative to you. Okay? But when you're getting the good ones coming through, these good ones are coming through and going, okay, we need to help you. We need to help you. So you kind of facilitate that, you and Bill facilitate that and help to close down those negative ones and only allow the good ones to come in. Yes, and that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a good way to describe it. And even then, like for me, when we're doing it, I just get all energy. Sometimes I get visuals. Bill gets more visuals and stuff like that. So it's like, and we're not really doing it. I don't know how to explain that either, because there's aspects of us that are facilitating it.
Exactly.
But it's not really us that's doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're hosting it.
You're
We're hosting it.
You're the lightning rod.
Yeah, okay. So we actually did one of our special residential clearings on September 23rd, 2021. And I looked at my notes and I stated it was a pretty wild ride. How is that for details, Janet?
Well, you're minimizing it. That's for darn sure. It was a heck of a ride. Holy moly. I was just amazed at the things that had happened. And it just, oh, Lord, how can this get any better?
Yeah, how much it's so interesting.
It was. It was.
Things that get us all interested, right?
Well, it was just cool for us.
Yeah.
From our point of view.
Well, and I wrote to the client, I said, the portal was already on the land. I don't have a lot of details about it. I do not experience the information in a visual or any 3D manner. It is energy. I can see it, not like a visual. It's hard to explain. On the other hand, Bill can often see more details. But in this case, he did not. He just felt like I did the huge dark energy. It was a bit of work to transmute the energies, then close and seal it. As long as nothing else disturbs it, this should be the end of it. And if you're doing any renovations or landscaping, give an offering to the land and the house before you do any more work. Then the residential clearing was a big surprise because the energies were quite dense. And again, I don't know exactly what they were. For me, it's not important. All that's important to me is that they were transmuted out. And the reason I like to do the clearings and experiences after is to ensure cords are cut. So the experiences, just to explain what I was explaining to the client, was that at that particular time, it's not the same anymore. We actually would do the clearing of the residential or closing the portal, and then I would do experiences on the clients to help clear them. Now we have a different process that does both of those things at the same time, making it more efficient. Both for the clients and for us as well. And we want to ensure that any cords are cut and healing can take place to ensure that they're not invited back in. So then I also give clients tools to use, including the 12D shield, which we've talked about before. But then, well, this is when things got really interesting. So in 2021, due to our new energy in building the shields, the process Bill and I use as Holy Fire Masters to clear the house and those living in the house via special clearing for each person residing at... Oh, I already talked about this. I'm sorry, I'm reading notes. So anyways, a week after we cleared the house, I did the special clearings for the family members. So as I said, the process back then was clear the house, then clear the family. And I was just explaining twice that now that process is different. So I apologize. And I checked in with my client via email after I did the clearings for the clients. I checked in the next morning, and what she told me, well, it blew my socks off.
You don't wear socks?
Yeah. If I actually wore socks, I guess it would have. So what she revealed to me was that afternoon. So we did the clearing the night before. The next day in the afternoon, there was a car accident in their front yard, and she had actually been working from home. So she said, I didn't witness it, but had to assist the young mother and call the emergency service. And she said, this had me thinking how we had the house clearing over the weekend in the last night's sessions. How connected is all of this, and is this affecting the progress? Excuse me. And then when I spoke to her on the phone, she told me that she revealed more information. She said at least once a year there was an accident on the corner of where their street meets the main street. So I was pretty perplexed. So I called you, Janet, and said, hey, what the heck happened? We've never had this happen before. And where the car accident happened was on the edge of the property. So the car didn't go into the property, so it was like it was protected.
Yeah.
But it still happened.
Exactly. Well, that's where I seen the ley lines running through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just weird. You could see, like, I could literally see lines like this and this, well, and going in different directions. And then there was something about a church.
I remember that. Then when I looked at the map, there
exactly.
were all these churches, and they were all in alignment with the property.
Exactly.
Yes, now I remember
now
that.
You remember that?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
But Spirit remembers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like something of that energy of that, and the ley lines and everything. It's like that whole freaking block has to be cleared.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that house.
Yeah.
You know? Because with the churches and all that, there was so much good and negative there that had to be cleared also. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't your job to do that.
Well, what we ended up doing was, and I think you said that there was some sacred ground there.
There was sacred ground there, and it was like, you go to some of the land and the land is blessed. You go to this part of the land, hasn't even been touched, hasn't even been blessed, but there was something sacred under there. Mm-hmm. But somebody disturbed it.
Yeah, and I think I also got that part of what you were getting is that for the family itself, because of who they were, their life purpose, what was in their spiritual blueprints, I don't know how else to describe it, but who they actually, I don't mean who they were as humans, but what they were bringing into this lifetime.
Exactly.
That there was something trying to prevent them from
moving forward and healing. And their healing. Little girl was so oh my God, she was so beautiful. She was pure light.
Yeah, I'd never worked on anybody that had that beautiful pure light, but she was still a human kid.
Exactly.
So it was pretty which was pretty interesting in itself. But I felt like that whole accident, they couldn't get through. So it happened, but it obviously created trauma for my client who was at home and had to be there to help. But they couldn't get through. And I think you saw something, like you saw like a mirror, or you saw an eye, or you saw something. I'm trying to remember. It was so long ago. Does that ring Spirit's bell as far as info?
I feel like there was some sort of, and I want to say it felt almost like mirrors going all the way around, okay? Mm-hmm. But the mirrors were faced inward instead of outwards. Mm-hmm. And they needed to be faced outwards. Because I recall you guys doing something of turning the mirrors.
Well, I don't know that we actually purposely did that, like it was an intention going in, because we don't go in with that kind of intention. It might have happened as a part of the process.
I feel like it was part of the process, without you doing it consciously.
I'm really curious now. I did reach out to my client before the podcast to see if I could chat with her, because I had a couple of questions, and one of them is just to check in and see how they're doing, because it's been so long, but also if they're still living in that same house, if there's still accidents and stuff happening on that corner.
Yeah, that would be interesting to find out, because I feel almost like there is a wall, okay, and the wall meets like this, like a L shape, and then all of a sudden the wall shifts a little bit. Bang! There's an accident. The wall goes back into place. All is fine. It's kind of freaky.
Well, I hope that the clearings that we did actually prevented any further accidents and stuff. But it was just, again, you can't, like, look at what happened. We clear this clients, and the very next day, and this young woman is, in a car and goes into the ditch. The car doesn't go up, it stops, it doesn't go up. And then this woman is feeling trauma after having this big healing session. So I think part of it was even just to create more trauma.
Exactly.
To prevent them from moving forward.
Exactly. But to me, there's more to do with a lot to do with all those churches, how the churches are lined up and something.
And I do remember getting a map out after.
Exactly.
Wow, look at all the churches and look how they're lined up in this. Yeah.
And you could see the ley lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could see the ley lines. I couldn't see them, but yeah. And churches are generally built on ley lines.
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly.
It was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sure was.
Do you have anything else you want to share about this particular event?
Well, as I recall, after it was all done and over with, the lady would talk to you, and she was amazed at how, like, the husband couldn't sleep. He had trouble sleeping for years and years and years. And after the clearing was done, all of a sudden he was sleeping. He had energy and he felt great. The kids were doing fantastic. And even the pets. I think
there
they
were
had
pets.
Yes, because I recall the pets
You're
too.
right, there were pets.
And
I can't believe you remember this from all of the things we've done over all the years. So yeah.
Yeah, and the wife, she felt so much better. Like, she always, as I recall, she felt like she had heavy hands on her shoulders all the time, and all that was lifted.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me this is not good work.
Oh,
This is fantastic work.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
And I always, every single time, I know it works. So it's not that I'm surprised by it, especially because this was a whole family, and it was the very first time I'd done a whole family.
True.
Now, I had already been doing brief healing experiences for groups and stuff like that, some corporate stuff, but
this was a big one.
This was a big one, where the whole family, and then how do you manage that through Zoom and with everybody, because they all have individual, healing. But it worked out really well. But it was just so cool to watch all that energy starting to work, the healing starting to happen, and it's not us, it's not me that's doing it. It wasn't Bill that was doing it. It's the energy, but it's also
the intention behind them.
Like them wanting it. Wanting it so bad that they're starting, then it leads them. And it's funny because then it's like following little breadcrumbs. It's like, okay, I'm doing this healing. Oh, look, something else has come into my awareness that I can now do to heal. And yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
What's really cool about it too is Spirit saying, okay, we're gonna help her on this little road, help her to do this, and then we're gonna throw a little bit more gifts at her, so she can see, okay, you started there, now let's see, you can do more than that, you can expand on this.
Yeah.
So how much more can you do? Well, let's show you.
Yeah.
Let's show you how amazing you can be. So I think you're on a good road. I think you're doing fabulous.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you too, because you have a big hand in all this. Like, a lot of the information that you were able to provide to them about their past lives, actually, that information is really healing for people, because all of a sudden they have things that they couldn't figure out and couldn't understand why they were the way they were, or why things were happening, or why they felt the way they did. And then you come in with the past life information. It's like, click. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and then
because you carry that over.
And then that's something that they can work with.
Yeah.
And then heal.
Exactly.
And move forward.
Exactly. It all works. It all drops into place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done.
Yeah.
Cleared out.
And the thing is, like, we're a spirit, we have a soul, but that soul, like we have, like if I'm trying to remember, I think it was Peter Maxwell Slattery that said it the best. It's like if you look at your hand, and it's like, you know, the main part of your hand, that's your soul, and then all the tentacles that are coming off of that are the appendages of your fingers. Those are the aspects of you that are all, so there's 144 of those souls that are existing. We think we're in a linear time, but we're only one aspect of ourselves.
Exactly.
And when we heal that one, the one that we're most conscious of here on this planet, then we're automatically healing all those other aspects of ourselves, past, present, and future at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's kind of mind-boggling.
It's amazing. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
love it.
Well, anything else, Janet, that you wanted to share before we sign off?
Well, I just think
Words
that
of wisdom.
the work that we do is so much fun and amazing, and it brings you into another space, a space that is like a free zone. I want to call it the free zone, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in that free zone, there's love, there's peace, there's charity, there's kindness, and you're in that zone while you're doing this work, and all you're doing is sending all this wonderful, great energy to people, to places, and that's making a change in the universe, one place at a time.
Yep.
So think how amazing that is.
Mm-hmm. And
That gives you something to think about, doesn't it?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
you know, recently I was listening to, well, we always listen to our favorite little astrologers and Lisa Renee and stuff like that with her podcasts and stuff like that.
Michelle Knight, yay.
And Michelle Knight, yes. And Pam Gregory. But the interesting thing is, and I can't remember which one of those, I think it might have been Michelle Knight that was talking about how as we're moving into this next astrological phase, everyone is becoming far more psychic,
Yeah.
far more aware of things. And so I suppose that could be a bit jarring and not upsetting, but a bit freaky for people if all of a sudden they're starting to think of things and then they start to happen, or they're starting to psychically get information about other people. It might be alarming to them, and even in their dreams they might be
Well, your
prophetic.
dreams are
So
going to
what
be more.
great
Yeah.
advice could you give to people as they're experiencing this?
I would tell people to trust your intuition. Listen to it. Listen to your gut. If you have a feeling of butterfly in your gut, I would take that as a yes. If you have a knot in your gut, I would go, no, stay away from that. But really trust your intuition right now, because you are opening up to another world.
Mm-hmm.
You're opening up to this new world.
Yeah.
Okay? And move forward. Go with it. Don't be hard on yourself. Love yourself. Take care of you.
And I guess too, if they're experiencing things where, psychically they're getting information about people,
Protect yourself.
it's like part of it's protect yourself, but also realize that, you have this is an awareness or a gift that's opening up. So don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Figure out how you can talk to somebody. If you're worried about getting ridiculed, call Janet. No, but, find a way to be able to talk about it with people so that you're comfortable with it.
Exactly. Don't be afraid of it, but just protect yourself. Just, surround yourself with white light. Just
12D shield.
12D shield. Yeah, 12D shield is fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
But do things that ground you. Stay grounded. Stay practical. Stay in that moment.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid. No fear.
And they could start journaling their dreams and
They
have
could.
fun with it.
They could.
If there's a friend that you trust, you could say, hey, I'm starting to get this psychic stuff coming through. Like, can I just share this with you? And can we have a bit of fun with it and see where it goes?
I usually hear, Janet, something really weird is happening. I don't understand it. I don't know. Can you help me? What's going on? And I just, yeah, sure, no problem. Let's go through it. Let's talk about it. And then by the end of the conversation, they're like, oh, well, that's cool. I'm really happy now. Like, I feel like I'm a little more comfortable with it
Yeah.
because there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. Well, and it's just good awareness for people to understand that those things could be happening. And I find out people that are dreaming right now, who get a lot of dreams, they're having wickedly wild dreams. So I just tell people to write them down and pay attention, because maybe they're getting messages from spirit, or they could be getting messages like for either other people or themselves, or they could be prophetic for what's coming towards
Absolutely.
them. So,
Absolutely.
all right,
So
Jan.
embrace it. Embrace it, honey.
Have fun. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Janet, on this hot June sultry, we'll use the word sultry, sultry June day. And stay tuned for the next episode of Ladies' #1 Detective Agency.
Ta-ta for now.
Take care. Be fabulous.